happen down the line in the future, but we'll never look at him the same after that destruction. Not to say that we won't respect him, but we'll never look at him the same.
Now everybody know Tank, kind of like you say,
it's a dirty game. It's a dirty game. And you got biased people, unfair people.
Smith criticized Gervonta Tank Davis over the drama surrounding his fight, calling it unnecessary. He also questioned the fairness of the judges and stated that Davis must prove himself again by defeating Lamont Roach.
Fighter in the world, pound for pound. We can do that. What we cannot do is debate who's the most exciting fighter, who's the biggest box office attraction in boxing. That would happen to be Gervonta Davis. We just got to accept it. I think that Frank Martin's a talented fighter. He'll make some things happen down the line in the future, but we'll never look at him the same after that destruction. Not to say that we won't respect him, but we'll never look at him the same because he got destroyed by Gervonta Davis. And that's no shame, that's no slouch, but damn, still in all, you get destroyed, you get destroyed. Gervonta Davis is the #1 box office attraction. Who I want to see him against next is Shakur Stevenson. I don't want to see him against Devin Haney because Devin Haney has proven to me that he's not a good punch taker. I want to see Gervonta Davis in the ring with somebody perceived as having enough power to put him on the canvas too.
Bernie, Gervonta Tank Davis's coach, expressed his disappointment with Davis's performance in the fight, stating that he didn't defend his title like a true champion. Bernie felt Lamont Roach displayed more heart and energy, while Davis appeared content to simply get through the rounds. He also criticized how the fight ended, saying that someone with Davis's reputation and skill should handle it better. Bernie believes Davis should have spoken up in the ring rather than leaving fans in suspense.
Champion, he got to defend his title. He got to defend his title. He like I said, they both was looking at each other. And then finally, after the look, Tank will be the one to throw the first punch. He felt like he wanted to retain his title. Lamont Roach felt like he was just happy to be there and get the success. He wasn't trying to take the title. He wasn't trying to take the title. And I'm saying that even from the last round, just even the last round, the final 20, 30 seconds of the last round, he wasn't throwing no punches. He looked at him and got caught with a jab. You can't close the show with a guy like that, with a guy like Tank Davis like that. Now, if he'd have had a knockdown or something, like a real knockdown or something, maybe you feel him, but you can't stop until the bell ends. You can't, even if you're being active and slipping and sliding and something, he just standing there looking at him. And I didn't understand that. I don't understand why fighters sit there and look at each other for a long time. Change the angle, keep a rhythm in your waist, snap a jab, do a feint. Ain't no need of you standing there looking at no man for 20 seconds in a fight. That don't make sense. But so I think, like I say, Lamont Roach, he will be kicking himself in the ass that he didn't do more, but grateful that he did enough.
Joe Rogan criticized the application of the rules in the fight between Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach, suggesting they seemed more like legal terms than boxing regulations, implying they were designed to favor Davis. However, Rogan praised Roach's boxing skills, expressing genuine admiration for his performance. He also noted that if the knockdown had been officially counted, Roach would have won the fight.
If the return strike has any other result, the match result stands. That's crazy. So you can get KO'd, you get finished, they give you 2 minutes to come back, and if you can knock that guy out, then it's a draw.
I also haven't used the rule yet.
So you go knockout for knockout.
Boy, that rule looks like it's written by lawyers, doesn't it? Doesn't that rule look written by lawyers? So find out what's happening, because I think they were going to announce something today about Lamont Roach, Gervonta Davis decision on the knockdown. It was a very good fight, though. Lamont Roach is very good. I was really impressed. Because Tank is nasty. Tank is so fucking powerful. Yeah. He's so vicious. Like his one punch power at 135 is like nobody else's in the division. Like the way he starches people is crazy. Exactly. He gets so much torque and power into his punches, and he's so fast that he covers ground and his uppercuts, they're just fucking devastating. Yeah. So, like, for Lamont Roach, not just to survive, but, do
some damage.
To do damage and
put him on the knee.
Basically bring it to a draw, which, if they do change this because of that knee, it becomes a victory. I think it should be a victory for him, and I think they should do a rematch.
100%.
Everybody saw it. You can't get around what everybody saw. Look, it wasn't a legit knockdown like he hurt Tank. Tank did have some shit in his eyes, but what are you doing putting shit in your hair when you have a world title fight? That's crazy.
And no one wanted to hear about it.
Many boxing experts and analysts reacted to the fight's outcome with shock and disappointment, labeling it one of the most controversial decisions in recent history. Critics argue that the referees and judges mishandled the rules, claiming decisions like this harm the sport's credibility. The debate over whether Gervonta "Tank" Davis deserved the draw or if Lemont Roach was robbed continues to grow, with both fighters and fans expressing their frustration over the result.
Tank Davis says he took a knee because he got his hair done a few days ago and something dripped into his eyes. Ryan Garcia said that Lemont Roach won that fight. And he continues with, not calling that knockdown is the most wild thing I've ever seen in boxing. That type of stuff makes boxing look bad. And it says, crazy shit, see y'all May 2nd. Terrence Crawford said they robbed that boy and it's crazy. Roach won and that should have been called the knockdown. Let's see what happens. Devin Haney says, I was waiting for the backflip. Even Turki Alashi has something to say about the fight. He said, if you charge people $80 per pay-per-view, you must give them a good card with good production. What are your thoughts? Then Terrence Crawford continues with, some of y'all need to watch Mayweather versus Hernandez and see Mayweather takes a knee because he hurt his hand and it was called a knockdown, not from a punch either. He says, I've never seen someone take a knee and they don't count it as a knockdown. Must have forgot the rules for tonight. And Shakur Stevenson is willing to fight Lemont Roach. But in your honest thoughts, who do you think should have won this fight? Do you believe with the decision as a draw? Or do you think Lemont Roach...
After the fight, referee Steve Willis was asked why he ruled it a draw and didn't count the knee as a knockdown. Instead of explaining, Willis refused to comment, fueling suspicions of favoritism in the decision. His silence has led both fans and analysts to question whether Gervonta "Tank" Davis was granted an unfair advantage throughout the fight.
What Tank did that when he took the knee? What you think when he took the knee?
I can't. Can't speak.
Can't speak on that? He did some bullshit though?
I can't speak.
No personal opinion, nothing?
Sports analysts Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp reviewed the fight and both firmly believed Lemont Roach did enough to secure the win, while they acknowledged that Gervonta "Tank" Davis landed some clean and powerful shots. They also highlighted that Roach responded with equally strong, if not harder punches. According to them, Roach's resilience and his ability to push Davis to his limits should have earned him the victory, rather than a controversial draw. Boxing experts have also been analyzing a moment when Davis took a knee, comparing it to past instances in boxing history where fighters voluntarily went down. In previous cases, when a fighter took a knee without being knocked down by a punch, it was ruled an official knockdown. This comparison has sparked further debate about why the judges didn't make the same ruling in Davis's fight.
Here in studio, fairly clear that knee touches, that's a knockdown. I don't know how else you can see it. And when people talk about the delay, there was a delay, we've seen much worse delay, especially on body shots. Someone takes a body shot, backs up, and it's several seconds, then they take a knee. And people take knees for all sorts of reasons. Sometimes you're under assault and you need a break. Yeah. It's all a knockdown.
Jimmy, we've seen, if I think of fights in the past where voluntary knees have happened, off of not one single moment or one single punch. You think of Mayweather against Alonso Hernandez, when he lands the punch and turns his back and takes a knee, he gets counted. You think of Miguel Cotto against Antonio Margarito, where it was under duress and he just took that knee. And of course, my compadre right here, Chris Algieri against Ruslan Provodnikov as well. It wasn't a particular shot. You feel something, you feel discomfort, you take a knee. All those times, there's a count, dude. And I'll tell you what, Steve Willis also knew there was a count because he started counting and then stopped.
Yeah, we'll get to it. There's more than one pillar of this defense for Lemont Roach. The first one's a knockdown, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, we have a ton of experts on the panel today. I'm going to speak from a fighter standpoint, just like you did, Champ. And you can argue whether that right hand landed clean or if it landed hard or how hard those jabs were. It doesn't matter. Champ, when you mentioned when I took that knee against Ruslan Provodnikov, I actually didn't get hit. I was still recovering from the last knockdown when my orbital was damaged. My eye was damaged. My vision was impaired. I gave ground so I would keep my opponent off me. And
Jack Reese, a respected boxing referee, shared his thoughts on the fight, stating that while referees have discretion, they must apply the rules consistently. He emphasized that it's their responsibility to enforce regulations on knockdowns, fouls, and unsportsmanlike conduct. His comments suggest that the handling of this fight may not have fully aligned with standard boxing rules.
Let me just put out to you guys 3 rules of what a referee has to follow. First of all, the referee is the sole arbiter, the only person able to determine whether to stop a fight or not, and anything else that happens in a ring. Second is part of his ability to do things when fouls occur. If a boxer fouls or acts in an unsportsmanlike manner during the bout or in between rounds, the referee should admonish or disqualify the offending boxer, depending upon the severity of the offense. And number 3, talks about penalizing and points. While warnings are generally preferred, the severity of a foul can warrant the immediate point deduction without any prior warnings. So now, what gives a referee the ability to call what you guys are talking about as a knockdown? I don't know if you guys know, maybe you can tell me, if not, I'll surely tell you. Do you guys know what the description of a legal knockdown is?
Baines, another respected figure in boxing, highlighted a strange moment in the fight, noting that referee Steve Willis started counting when Gervonta Tank Davis took a knee but abruptly stopped. This inconsistency has raised further doubts about the referee's actions. Baines also acknowledged Davis's star power and influence in the sport, suggesting that his status as a major draw may have played a role in the controversial decision.
A very, very controversial fight this past Saturday. Gervonta Davis, Lamont Roach, draw, and the knee. But we'll start with just the fight. Who did you have winning? Because I've been saying mixed reviews.
Well, listen, it was a good fight, man. You know what I mean? And what you call him came to fight. Lamont came to fight. They know each other. This is what I try to tell people. It wasn't gonna be no easy fight. You know what I mean? And I was telling everybody that. Now they understand what I'm saying. Them guys knew each other. Plus they probably used to spar each other. Matter of fact, they did. They spar each other back in the day. So they knew each other, man. And the amateurs and pro fights is not the same. You know what I mean? We beat him 2 times in the amateur, but this time, Lamont was ready, man. He was ready. He was in shape. He took tank punches. You know what I mean? And it was going back and forth. You know what I mean? And I thought it was a real close fight, but I thought Lamont edged it.
Were you surprised that Lamont backed Tank up and was winning in exchanges? Because Tank is looked at as probably the biggest puncher in boxing.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised because, like I said, when he came out the first time, he came out using his jab and like he was backing him up. But you know, Tank fight that way a lot anyway. He fight like that anyway. He'll move around and you can back him up all you want. You know, Tank set them traps, man. He set them traps. So, you know, the traps that he was trying to set, was prepared for the trap. You know what I mean? He was prepared for the trap because he would counter and Lamont would counter right back. You know what I mean? So it was a great fight, man. Can't take nothing away from either one of them.
Now, as far as the knee goes, you've been in boxing for over 40 years.
Oh,
yeah. Have you ever seen anything like that? A guy takes a knee?
No. Now, that's something I didn't expect him to do. You know what I mean? You know, he took the knee, you know what I mean? And then ran to the corner and got...
Boxing analyst Paulie Malignaggi shared his breakdown of the fight, stating that while the draw wasn't the worst decision, it wasn't the right one either. He firmly believed that if the knee had been correctly ruled as a knockdown, Lamont Roach would have won by a single point. Malignaggi even compared the situation to Floyd Mayweather's fight against Carlos Hernandez, where Mayweather took a knee due to a hand injury and received a standing count. This comparison highlights the inconsistency in how boxing rules were applied in the Davis versus Roach fight.